hey. Numa, hey, everywhere. Hey, everyone, how's it going? It is either Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a OMI is my homie, episode 62, VeVe at Hall H in San Diego Comic-Con. OMI with my co-host, Dr. Astaf. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. And we'll get to the rain when he gets back. We're not sure where he is. Anyway, he's fine. He's fine. We're just, there's a ton of stuff to go over today. There's been a bunch of weekly news. Where do you want to start?
I think let's talk about Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is kind of like
it's down.
It's the 600-pound gorilla, right? And it kind of starts everything. Everyone's kind of paying attention to that, but like it's almost like that 600-pound gorilla when it jumps into like a pristine glass like lake, and it just creates all these ripples, right, that go through, and then all of this other stuff kind of starts happening, and movement starts. So I would love to know your thoughts on, this is the biggest and quickest move of Bitcoin that like I've seen in a long time, man. Like it just like went crazy. And especially with like it hitting multiple all-time highs, like several days in a row. What do you think the reason for that is?
I have an idea of maybe like, hey, they wanted to load the boat before this week because this is supposed to be one of the biggest weeks in crypto. Trump's been talking about it nonstop, just having a bunch of bills that they're going to vote on, and we'll get into that. But also, it seems to me that they have it's all institutions. It's not retail yet. Retail is still, the interest is where it was when Bitcoin was like $18,000. Like the interest from retail is just not here. And I think there's a lot of shorts that finally got squeezed. And then they had, like, when you short it, you have to buy. If it's lower, then good for you. If it's not, then bad for you. And they had I think it was probably like $1 billion in shorts that were squeezed in the past couple of days, which is a ton. So, someone's making money on that. I feel like it's been suppressed for so long. And now it's finally here. I think a lot of manipulation, but again, this is all-time highs with no retail in. This is the strangest bull market I've ever seen. And now you see like, Bitcoin's down a couple percent on the day, but ETH is up 4%. And is that happening? Are we finally getting to phase 2 of this? I don't know. That's just kind of what I see. I know it's very basic. I don't really have too much insight though into the super mega whales where now they own half of all Bitcoin in circulation, these institutions and these ETFs, and people that wanted Bitcoin as a way to get rid of that, they sold. They sold to the people that they tried to get away from. And look at you. All right, that's some of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, listen, I definitely think that there's some excitement in the markets with, and I talked about this in previous episodes, but stablecoins becoming legitimized through regulation is a big deal. It's going to bring a lot of liquidity into the markets. And so there could be kind of like an excitement around that. But what's interesting? You say retail isn't in it. Like they kind of are to a certain extent through ETFs, right? And I say that because I have a coworker now who gave me a lot of crap for years about crypto, and he has a Bitcoin ETF now. So he's like, "Oh, I'm all about this pump." Because like I was in my work chat, right? And I was like, why isn't everyone talking about this? Was like 2 days ago or what? But I was like, why isn't everyone talking about Bitcoin? I guess it was just yesterday. What is it? Yeah, yesterday. I was like, why isn't everyone talking about Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs? Which is a joke, right? Because everyone is just like, again, like I'm in traditional finance, right? Like in that arena, and a lot of people are just like they still think crypto is a scam, but the Bitcoin ETF has legitimized it pretty substantially, and so people who again for years gave me crap have put real money like into the Bitcoin ETFs. So there is some retail there, but like not to the extent that like when I think of retail, like you're saying, it's more like they're hopping onto Coinbase and buying Bitcoin, right? Like that's the retail. And that's not really happening still, which is crazy, right? Like it's pumped. Listen, like a month and a half ago, like I have to look, but like it was not too long ago, 2 months maybe, where Bitcoin was at
74.
like 78 grand.
Yeah,
You know
take
what
a
I mean?
week down to
Like,
74.
yeah, that's like a 60% increase. I mean, maybe not that much. Let's see. Yeah,
It's
no,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
60-70% increase. Like that's pretty insane. And so the fact that people are still kind of like skeptical is weird to me. But what it's done is it is people are starting to talk about it a lot more. Traditional finance channels and things are having to talk about Bitcoin, and it is bringing in. Now, when you say like Bitcoin's down, but then ETH is up, I listen to this podcast a lot called Bankless, really interesting, and the people who lead that are ETH maxis for sure, and they are starting to say like they really believe that they basically said either ETH pumps within the next couple weeks, or there's like a big disconnect because the ETH community is really bullish on ETH right now. And it typically goes the other way where it's like price goes first and then they turn bullish, but people are bullish on ETH even though the price isn't up yet. So they think that, ETH is going to have like a pretty big run here in the next couple of weeks. And if not, they are pretty concerned about it. But yeah, it's been kind of interesting. Like you said, like there is a lot of manipulation. One thing though, that I think when we talk about manipulation, people see these announcements of like Bitcoin reserves and they're like, oh, like it's happening. It's going to be happening soon. But a lot of times these are budget items that maybe it gets approved for this, but like the budget is until next year. So when you say like, are we in this second phase of this? Like, I don't even know. I still think we might be in the first phase because there's a lot of money that's probably coming in Q1, like a lot of money. Now, the only thing where if you want to call it manipulation or it's just like a way for them to protect their bags, but there might be a lot of OTC deals that happen, right? And so like the market, unfortunately, because it's OTC, you don't see that pump in the price. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Do you know Josh Mandel?
I don't think so.
He's someone that a lot of people think that is like a time traveler because he has he had two Bitcoin predictions that came true on the exact same date. Like one was in like November of last year, one was in like March of this year, and like he called it like to the date. And people were like, okay, you're clearly a time traveler. And his next thing is like
clearly.
Yeah. So his next big prediction is that Bitcoin maxes out at 444,000. And somebody said, like, hey, this person thinks that it's looking to top out like 150, 180, whatever. Like, can you explain why? It's like, if you look at the M2 money supply and see like if this is the top, then yeah, sure. We'll if there's an X month lag on it and this is the top, then sure, maybe in X amount of months it only goes to 180. But he has a lot of reason to think that it'll keep going for a while. And Raoul Paul said the same thing. A comment is like, yeah, M2 money supply will probably keep increasing until Q1 or Q2 of next year. And when you have that lag on top of that, I mean, this is the strangest bull market we've ever had. This is like a revolution. I don't think that Trump would be making all of this giant crypto moves without it being a major priority for the future of America. Like this, like he doesn't have to run for re-election again. Like this is not like for him. This is not like, yeah, this will pay dividend. I mean, it will pay dividends for Americans, but I forget the question. I kind of went off on a thing there.
Oh, well, listen, I will never judge you for that because that happens to me all the time where I'm like, what was I talking about? But we were talking about like, well, you started talking about Bitcoin going up to 444,000 with this time traveler guy that I didn't know who that was. I'd never heard of him. And I love how you were like, so he's definitely a time traveler. Because of 2 data points. That's amazing. But like the M2 money supply and that increasing. So like one of the reasons it's important, M2 money supply, and Raoul Paul talks about that a lot, right? And he tracks that and he says that he feels like there's a high correlation between when the M2 money supply increases and then the price of Bitcoin increases as well, right? And yeah, like I think that $444,000, that's wild. I don't know, because to me, so a year ago, maybe it was in 2 years ago, but a year or 2 years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, who I actually talked into buying Bitcoin. I didn't know, and I've told this story before, but like we were working, and he was from another state, and he was coming and helping out with stuff. And like I was talking about crypto and things, and like just talked about Bitcoin and where I saw it was going. And Bitcoin was actually on, like, it was going down, right? It wasn't going up. And so he bought it at like around 29K. He put like decent 5-figure amount into it at 29K. Didn't tell me about it until like a year later. We were chatting again, and he was like, "Oh man, I got to thank you." And I was like, "For what?" He's like, "I bought Bitcoin last year when you were telling me." And I was like, "What?" And by that time, I think that Bitcoin had gotten up to like 62 grand or something, like, so he was stoked. And I was like, "Don't sell. If you listen to me once, listen to me again. In my opinion, you should not sell." I was like, "I think it's going to hit around 100 grand, but I think before it hits 100 grand, like right before it, around 99 grand, I think people are going to panic. You could probably sell it at 99 grand and it'll dip into the low 90s or something like that. And then I'd buy back again." But I was like, my top range is probably 150 grand for this cycle. Like if it gets 150 grand, that's going to be pretty frothy. And that was before Trump got elected and he became pro-crypto president, right? And so once that happened, then and I started to see this stuff, and this is me just recently, maybe in the last 2 weeks, where I was like, okay, 150 grand that's not like, I think it'll that will be the bottom. Like, I mean, that would be like the low end. Like, I think it would probably be 150 to 250. But for me, man, 250K, I think that's really high. To go to $444,000 per Bitcoin would be, listen, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love for that.
I don't see how it gets there, but I'm not betting against this, man. It's like if you're in a fight with someone and they start doing the Kamehameha, I was like, I'm pretty sure he can't do it, but I'm not going to take that chance,
Well, no, but the problem is that you've seen it with your specific example, right? He's done the Kamehameha or whatever twice before and nailed the guy. And you're like, does he have a third one in him? Does he? I don't know if I want to bet against it. So like, but like, listen, if Bitcoin gets to 444,000, life is going to be really, really good for all of us altcoin holders. And I say that because like almost any project that has survived through the bear market, that goes through a bull cycle, does well. Now that well could be 2x, could be like depending on the native and what's in there. I just remember at the tail end of 2021, man, it was like every project I was in, I felt like I was just like a genius. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I bought this and this pump, I bought this and this pump, and everyone's just like, oh, right? But little did I know how greedy I would get and not sell, right? And I was like, oh, it's up only. Guys, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen with Bitcoin at some point. So I'll tell you what, if Bitcoin gets near 200, I do have Bitcoin. If Bitcoin gets around 250K, anywhere near that, I'm selling. And like, if it gets up to 444, okay. But 250 to me is so insane that like, if it goes anywhere near that, like I'm selling. But then also like, at that point, I'm going to be looking at those gains and be like, what are the altcoins that are undervalued, and try to throw those gains into that, right? And just really kind of leverage that up.
I told so there's a bunch of Devi groups, but there's two main ones. There's like the official Devi thing on Telegram and the trading group where people can talk about price action, because it's not official. It's just Devi warriors. And I was like, guys, I keep buying and then it keeps going down. I was like, I will, if it can stay down here until like November, I'll throw in like 100K into it, and because that's supposed to when I get a nice little, and then I'll just go bananas on it, because I know we'll talk about OMI, because this is the OMI Homie channel, OMI Homie show. Is there such thing as, well, I mean there is, but for you, what is such thing as like over leveraged. I mean, you yourself, you're very successful. You have a good amount of money coming in, but do you have a low watermark for like, I need to have at least minimum this in my account, and if not, I feel sick? And as long as you have that, can any extra money just continuously go to crypto? Or do you like to have a percentage? Be like, I need to have half in cash, half in crypto, and however much money comes in, that needs to stay that way.
Well, so I mean, I have a pretty like awesome 401k matching plan. So I maxed that. So like money goes there. You know, I had the first 6 months of this year sucked for me, guys. Like, it was the worst. Things are looking better, a lot better. I'm starting to see the sun peeking through the clouds. Financially, I've had to throw a shit ton of money at other stuff, which sucked. But that is changing. And so I don't feel like I have as much of my bags packed as I would like. Like, definitely not. And so I'm planning on packing my bags some more. Hopefully before this altcoin run, whenever that hits. And like, if we're seeing a lot of these countries and things not purchase Bitcoin or get these Bitcoin reserves until Q1, then the altcoin season isn't running until late Q1, or, you know, like, I mean, and it could change. Maybe it could run in tandem. Like I don't know, right? But like, historically, it's Bitcoin has to hit its all-time high, and then as that starts to go down, then funds flow into altcoins. And so I am hoping that that's the case, you know. But let me say something, right? Like, with respect to Devi specifically, and why I think that there are some tokens that could definitely run before Bitcoin does anything. I mean, Devi has been teasing this exchange partner, right? One of the biggest exchanges in the world, is what they're saying. And I don't know exactly like what they're doing with this partnership, right? But let's say it's something pretty good. We're in the middle of, you know, and we're going to talk about this, but crypto week, right? Like, there's legislation that is working on being passed right now that will legitimize. First, it's going to do a couple things with the Clarity Act, identifying the agencies and what they oversee, right? Like, what would be considered securities within the crypto world. And then like anything outside of securities, like the CFTC manages that. So like Bitcoin would be a commodity. It's not a security, right? Ether, probably a commodity, not a security. Is XRP a commodity? Like I don't know, right? But like, hopefully we get some clarity on that. But as that happens, right, and as we see Bitcoin getting more and more in the news and traditional finance companies getting more and more involved, Devi making announcements after there's clarity on that, and traditional finance companies can actually hold some things on their balance sheet, that could do very well for the token, you know, which, I mean, there's a lot. Devi's got a lot going on. I mean, if you've watched any of the AMAs, shoot, you've had the AMAs with Austin, you know, and Austin's amazing. I think you had Tom on initially.
Yeah, I had Tom on. Actually, I haven't had Austin on, just Tom a couple times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Listen, man, like it's okay. I could not remember last episode what I was trying to call Devi, but it's an enterprise blockchain solution.
I was waiting for that message like all week. I was like, oh, when's he going to remember it?
Yes, enterprise blockchain solution. And the way that they've developed their blockchain, once companies start seeing this, and if their partner is as major as they're making it out to be, which, by the way, it might not be. I think that people need to be prepared for that too. Like, there's so many times where there's projects that are hyped up. They're like, this is what it's going to be. Oh, look at Gunzilla. So Gunzilla is like, everything's going to change on Monday. And so the price like pumps like 20% or something, right? And they're like, we're on Solana. And everyone's like, all right, wasn't worth it. And then the price like dropped immediately back down, basically, right? And but I do think if they're saying it's one of the largest exchanges in the world, that's a pretty big deal to be partnered with something like that. And so there are tokens out there that could hit the narrative beforehand. But that was a really long way to say, I don't feel like I have my bags packed. However, I'm still living my life. I've got 2 kids. I want to make sure that I'm having fun with them, that I'm doing stuff that they have, new clothes for school and stuff that's coming up, all that stuff. So I'm not freaking eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day for 3 meals a day. But am I cutting out some things, right, that I would normally be doing to look at putting more money into crypto? Yeah, absolutely.
Tom had a whole giant blurb, and I'll read the last part of it. This was on Saturday. He wrote in the Telegram. Overall, again, let's keep the main thing, and let's not let our imaginations run away. We have fraud protections, private key loss protections, theft protections, privacy solution, a bankruptcy-proof bailment architecture, contingent transaction sets, and a liquidity cache design, all of which are desperately needed when TradFi moves into DeFi, and all of which no one else has. We are finding the best path to create a business around all of our innovation. And they had delayed the roadmap because there was new opportunities that came in. Like, we don't want to release this roadmap, and then 3 weeks later cancel it and release another. So by end of August, they should have that out. And does that mean they tell us who that exchange partner is right away? No, probably not going to know until I think really late this year. But either way, very excited for them. Very. They are not my biggest bag though. I'm trying to get OMI to be my biggest bag again, but it is a hard road to hoe. So I'm up to 275 million OMI, and it's got word the other day when it pumped up to like 2.3, 2.5, and then I was like, oh, I might not get to my goals, and then obviously it came back down. What are your thoughts on? I guess we keep having these pumps, which is good. That means people are finding the token. It could mean something different. It could mean that like someone's trying to trade on maybe some news. Like we have a bunch of big announcements coming up, one of which is going to be at San Diego, and we'll get to that. Maybe it's someone on the other side of that, maybe like another license, like, oh, we have this deal with VeVe and OMI. Let's try to, get their token before it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many pumps we have. We always get bought back down. And I had the first person that had that little pump spent a couple $100,000 on OKX. I had a couple of whales reach out to me, be like, hey, you said you had somebody that wanted to do an OTC deal. This is like weeks ago. And I was like, yeah. I was like, can I still get in on that? Like, you wait for it to pump 30% and then ask me? No. So it was 3 different pumps that we had on that day. And then we have someone, Brahma Rickard, talking today saying, I'll buy back my OMI starting tomorrow, 50 million OMI. And I just feel like, when does that selling end? Like, it seems that whoever's been selling has unlimited amounts of OMI. And because of certain delays, there's a couple of whales that I knew, at least one that had 50K, and he's like, they said this announcement was coming like May, June, now it's in July, it's not here, and he bought something else. What are your thoughts on VeVe potentially missing out on a few whales? It always pumps and then comes right back down. Why are you still so convinced? Like myself, as I keep buying more, but why are you still so convinced that this is?
Well, so one of the things I think is happening right now is that there's a lot of people who are trading the token because we've had so many pumps and it goes right back down, that people are like, this is awesome. I'm going to sell in this pump because I'll be able to buy more down at the bottom. No, so I think that's it, Randy. I think that there's quite a few people who are just like, I'm just going to sell into this pump because it's going to come back down and I'll be able to buy more, or I'll be able to take those profits and roll it into something else. At some point, though, what happens is it doesn't go back down. Like, there's at least that risk, right? And so what will eventually happen at some point, if VeVe can hit one of the narratives, or the OMI token can hit one of those narratives, is it's going to pump. And then a lot of the people who are like, oh, I'm going to sell because it's going to go back down. And then it doesn't go back down. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to be like, oh, crap, I've got to buy back in now. And they're going to be buying at a higher price than they sold in. And a lot of people get really wrecked that way, where they try to do these swing trades and stuff like that, and then at some point, doesn't happen. So, yeah, like we'll see what happens. But I won't name the token that I'm doing that with. But there is a token that I have that I actually am very bullish on it. But like it's still in the distribution cycle, and so like there's kind of like a timing of when there seems to be this pump. And so then I sell into that pump, and then I'm just like, I know that the next distro is coming. And so then I just wait for that distro. And around that time, like within the next couple of days, and everyone's dumping their token, that's when I'm buying it back, and I'm just loading up more of that token and hoping that, when the bull run comes, that it's gonna really pop off, because it's down like 90% from its all-time high, so like, but it has an incredible use case. And so we'll see how that all plays out. But like for OMI, it is frustrating. It is frustrating to see. At the end of the day, a couple things. Like I said at the beginning of this show, that when the bull run happens, if your project has survived, like it's going to pump. Your token it's going to pump. How much that is will depend on if you're able to hit a narrative or not, but it'll pump. So like, am I worried about OMI? No, I've dollar costed average down substantially from where I initially bought at. And so if it pumps, great, 2x or 3x, fantastic. But I'm not worried about it. Like, again, VeVe is still making money, and I think, and it has strong fundamentals, and there's so many different ways that VeVe could hit a narrative, and the token could just pump out of nowhere, truly just pump out of nowhere. And the fact that the company is still making money, they're still tied to some of the largest IP in the world. They're still doing collaborations. They got to know what you want, like how long was it before Amazon became profitable? Like how long was it before Tesla was really profitable? And how long before electric vehicles even made Tesla like make sense? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Like, I just think, I just truly still believe in OMI, man, with all the FUD. And like, I'm diversified though. I made this point. I made this post about OMI with something, and someone came on and they're like, oh, yeah, but if you'd been in Bitcoin, like it would have done this. I'm like, but I am in Bitcoin. Like I'm diversified, and it's so important, guys, to diversify. And Randy, we talked to you about this years ago, right? And you finally caught wind, but like, it's so important to have that diversification, because if you only hold 1 or 2 or even 3 tokens or something like that, and none of them pump, but you believe in them, right? Like what happens is at some point you lose faith in those tokens because they didn't pump in the timeline that you now made up, because other tokens have pumped in this timeline. And you're like, well, that token pumped, these should have pumped, and they didn't. So I'm out. And then you miss the pump. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I should have held, I should have done that, right? And like, I'm just not willing to do that. So like for me, like these projects that I'm in is ride or die. Like either like it freaking crushes it or it doesn't, it goes to zero. But that's why it's so important when you ask me like, how much money am I throwing in? Listen, I am not throwing in any money that I can't afford to lose, right?
That is where we differ.
Oh my gosh, it is. Now where that pays off, right? Like, I mean, your big bets, like, I could have like, like a 18-foot yacht, and you could have it like a 300-foot yacht. Right? Like, I mean,
I'm also not a strong swimmer, so I'm probably just going to skip the yacht.
Sure. Like mansion, you can have 12 mansions across the world, and I've got one. That's where it pays off for you, right? Like there is some risk aversion to a certain extent. Like I definitely love crypto, but like I'm not willing to throw in money that like if I lose, I'm wrecking myself. I've got too much responsibility from and that's different, right? Like got kids, you don't have any kids. I got people who count on me, and so like I have to make sure that I'm being responsible with that. But money that I can't afford to lose, man, I'm putting it into higher risk, higher return stuff, right? But and along with this, I want to answer David Trotter's question. He says, "Hey chaps, do you think the August 1st deadline for OMI to be migrated from VeVe to Stacker Wallet will give the regulatory clearance, which will finally enable real momentum for the token?" So I'll say this, David. I think that the migration from OMI over to Stacker is important in that VeVe doesn't want to be custodians of the token that their sister company created. It just causes some, potential conflicts of interest. I see potential. Like regulators, they could kind of now they could get worked up about it. That being said, in fact, there was just there was a pronouncement that was made yesterday by the Office of Comptroller of Currency, the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the Federal Reserve, and it's around the safekeeping of custody, crypto custody. Hold on, the safekeeping of crypto assets. There is a difference between the custodying of assets and safekeeping. But basically, it was saying like, hey, banks, you can safekeep crypto assets for customers. Here's kind of some of the risks that you got to think about, and there's still responsibilities and all these things. Where I'm going with this is that like, if you're custodying it and that's all you're doing, or you're safekeeping it, or you're holding it in like this wallet on the platform, I don't think that VeVe is exposed that way. But they think like it might be just better just to get it completely off the platform, which is fine, So I think that is more the reason that they're doing that, David, is that migration off there to Stacker. So I don't know if that's going to be the thing that will really enable momentum for the token. I think the thing that will enable momentum for the token is the NFT narrative, the digital collecting narrative, or if they have some like gaming partnerships and gaming hits the narrative, things like that, right? Like it's so narrative driven. Like XRP, it just pumped substantially because there was talk that XRP and Ripple might get a bank charter with the Stable Act or the Genius Act being passed, that they're going to get like a bank, and so then the token pumps. Ripple didn't do anything. There was no actual announcement about the bank, but just the speculation and the narrative pumped the token. And like, I know that we say this all the time, and all I can say is just based off of my past experience, the narrative basically trumps everything. It really does. Now, when you get the narrative combined with utility and people are looking for that utility, oh my gosh, that's when things for that specific token go bananas. So I think that VeVe, because they have AR, VR, they could do gaming. I mean, they got Rabbids, they've got some other stuff, and digital collecting. Like I think if that somehow hits the narrative with NFTs and things, the OMI token just in and of itself will pump. So,
want to know why I think we have a really good idea what will pump it? Now, obviously, tomorrow we have the base announcement where they're going to be live in Los Angeles at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're probably going to announce dates on when they're going to have their DEX program for when every token's on base that is going to be available on Coinbase. They're definitely not rolling it out tomorrow. They're probably just announcing a couple of dates. Is that a bruise?
Yeah, I got a bruise there.
Yeah, you've been fighting.
It's a pretty big bruise, bro. Huh. Okay. Sorry.
Anyway. So they have that, and I think that'll be bullish. That'll get some people pumped. But again, if most people that want to buy OMI right now, they could buy it. Would it be easier on Coinbase? Absolutely. Going to Coinbase wallet is a little more difficult, but for the most part, anyone can do it. What I really think helps, or what might help if it happens, is that Trump this morning told his cabinet at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time that he's instructed to his cabinet to make a strategic NFT reserve, creating some of the most culturally iconic digital assets ever created. America is a leader in cryptocurrencies, and several of the top artists bleed freedom, red, white, and blue blood. We will create the biggest, best, and largest NFT reserve in blockchain history. Textbooks will be written about the preservation of our digital culture. We will make NFTs great again. Oh my God, makes me want to go re-sign up for the military again. There's not too many things more American than like Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse and Spider-Man and Captain America. And we have all of these first appearances, Batman. Like if there's a I mean, Trump says artists. Again, we have a bunch of artists on here: Jason Naylor, Gary Baseman, Luke Chu. Although Luke Chu might not be from the U.S. A whole bunch of amazing artists here. What do you think the likelihood is that Trump even knows what a VeVe is, or what or anyone that he puts in charge of this that might search NFTs? Are they just going to search like Dick Buds and the NFT ordinals and like the crypto punks out there, or is he going to try to look for big IP?
I think that they will look for big IP. I think that IP matters. IP does matter. So do I? What's the likelihood that Trump knows what VeVe is? Like 0%.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows about VeVe at all. That dude's got so much more stuff on his plate to worry about than like a digital collectible app. But whoever gets put over in NFTs and stuff, if they're doing their job, they will absolutely come across VeVe. You cannot look at this space as a whole to say, like, if I'm going to create policy, if I'm going to look at this stuff like holistically, there's no way that you can miss VeVe. There's none. Like, and if he does, then he absolutely is doing a terrible job.
No.
I mean, like VeVe is a freaking. Here's the thing. I know that they don't have the self-custody. Like, I get that. That sucks. I want self-custody. Like, I'd love that. And honestly, if it did, VeVe would be on another level. Like, you look at like Bored Ape, and like Good Night. Like, it wouldn't hold a candle to what VeVe, like the volume that VeVe would have been doing, right? But like, it is what it is. They needed to guarantee royalties, and which is one of the reasons that they were able to get the IP in the first place. But if you're looking holistically at the NFT space, you cannot have done a good job without coming across VeVe and being like, yo, what is this? They have Disney, Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Blackpink, like, postage stamps, right? Like they've got so much IP out there that I definitely think it will be looked at. And then I think as the tech, AR and VR, that tech improves, especially with AI, right? Because now they'll be able to use AI, its data points to sit there and say, like, how can we make this smaller? How can, like, and just really using it to help them with their processes. And you're looking at like what Grok 4 can do, right? And it's just like you're going to get these models that start training new models and stuff, and it's just going to be able to think so much faster and crunch numbers so much better than anything that we could ever do. And so I just think like technology is going to improve substantially to where we could have amazing glasses that people are wearing in 3 to 5 years that are uber cheap and are just extremely sophisticated. You know what I mean? And yeah, but with that NFT stuff, and whoever is going to be over that, I think that they like. Do we know? He hasn't put someone over that yet, right?
No, he said his cabinet.
All right. Well, we'll see. See if I can't contact, like, figure that out.
I'm going through a guy I know myself. I sent him a text and I was like, hey, what did I say? I said, where's this Trump NFT reserve? I said, Trump told everyone this morning he's making an NFT reserve. I can't think of anything more American than what I just said. We all have we have all of their first appearance on the blockchain on VeVe. I would help him curate this with some of the most undervalued NFTs in the space. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. He also bought OMI at much higher, and he might feel a little salty. So he might, but I gotta try, right? I gotta try to get this bread.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm gonna wait to kind of see, but I think that there is, we'll see if I can't use some of my contacts to try to get that in front of people, like as a legitimate conversation of just, if you're looking at NFTs, like you've got to look at different structures of NFTs, right? Whether that's like closed gardens, I'll
do it for free. I like whatever salary they would pay someone, I'll waive it. hear that, Ms. Trump. And there would be no better person than to have a first-generation immigrant be like the face of that. Be like, yeah, see, can't call him racist now. First-generation immigrant he hires. I do it for free, saving the taxpayer money. No better person. Sorry. Anyway,
Love
speaking
it.
of IP, Roblox launches new licensing platform for experiences, and this is
Wait,
might be
what is
straight out of
this?
so straight out of left field.
Okay, sorry.
8 hours ago, Roblox launches a new licensing platform for experiences, saying that any creator that wants to create like a game using IP, they can do that. They have to give 50% of what they make on the game to them, but and it has to have a certain amount of active daily users. And so far, the IP is Like Dragon, Saw. Oh, these are all from Lionsgate. There's Now You See Me. Oh, there's Netflix too. There's Squid Game. There's Stranger Things 4, Divergent, Twilight. So anyone can now go on Roblox and take that IP and make a mini game from that stuff. So with Squid Game, that is going to be bananas with their 100 million daily active users, and they're working on getting other stuff. They have Sega. They have a bunch
Roblox has how many daily active users?
like 98 million.
What?
I think it's more than that. I think 98 million is just for Grow Your Garden. I think on 99 Nights in the Forest, I think on the pirate Skinwalkers, I think altogether it's like 128 million. But the most popular game, which is, I don't know why it's that popular, but that's the Grow Your Garden one. What does it say? I think you just looked that up.
Well, so I mean, this is just in Q1. They said that it increased to over 97.8, but we're in Q3 now, right? So like, I mean, dude, crazy. Okay, man.
And when I think of them introducing the Roblox license manager and licenses catalog, where they say anyone that has the IP can go in and do something with this. And VeVe's got all of this freaking shit. So, excuse my language, so sorry. But VeVe's got all of this stuff. And this is where the Roblox license manager and licenses catalog comes in, where anyone that has a license can do something with this. I mean, so David announcing something at Hall H in San Diego, which is the grandest stage of them all. It's the main event at WrestleMania. And like this is saved for like Marvel movie release announcements. This is saved for like DC movie release announcements. And I don't know if it's just like a new person that I don't think of a sport that they need, like lacrosse or whatever, is getting like this 500 or like horseback riding, getting this $10,000 saddle, getting all this crazy equipment. And they're just newbies, right? And they don't really know what they're doing. They're just throwing a bunch of money at it. Maybe David just has this kind of nothing announcement, and maybe he's just spending way more money than he needs because he wants to make a splash. But I don't think that's it. I think he's way too frugal a person to do that. I feel like he would only do this if he thought it was 100% worth it. I can't think of what.
So here's my question, and I don't know the answer. Maybe someone in the chat does, but like, so I know that David did say in Spaces yesterday that like they have Hall H, but like, is that the panel? Is that the panel that is at Hall H?
That's a different panel. So he's on a panel.
Okay.
There's no way Video Shane Isaac got called Hall H. I that is a cool dude, but there's like no way.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify that because like, I didn't know. Okay, so you're telling me that legitimately VeVe by themselves has space in Hall H.
See, you're making me second guess this now, but if I was Video Shane and I was helping host this space, I would have plastered everywhere that it's at Hall H. Like, that's not something I would have kept to myself. That's something I would have just been like, I would be shouting from the rooftops, telling everyone, taking out ads and papers, be like that.
Who's Video Shane?
I think he's the guy that he's doing the panel, right?
Oh.
With Pudgy Penguins and Todd McFarlane.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I see. So you're saying that he would have put out like, hey, this is gonna be in Hall H. Like
maybe I'm misremembering the name though, and it's not video. But somebody's doing that panel with Pudgy Penguins and Todd McFarlane. And I again, if they are having that at Hall H, awesome, congrats, and I tip my hat to them. And but I just don't think it is.
Yeah. Well, I know that David said that they're going to announce this partnership, or that like, listen, if they don't announce, I mean, we were told that there was a partnership in May, and then it was going to be June, and now it's mid-July. I'm wondering if they just are like, hey, and maybe it was this, is that they got a chance to do Hall H and they're going to make this announcement there. And then if it is, then that's got to be a pretty big freaking partnership for him to get that money to put that there. So, but if I'll say this, right? Like, if VeVe legit has Hall H by themselves, that's got to be something pretty big. That's got to be a pretty freaking big deal, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Trump says the 11 representatives who voted against pro-crypto legislation have now agreed to vote in favor of advancing bills. Let's go.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, right? With Crypto Bill Week, or Crypto Week, and the bills that are being passed or talked about being passed. You have this like anti-CBDC. So let me tell you guys a lot. I did for my job. I did a lot of research and presentations on central bank digital currencies, and they're terrifying. Can I just say? I mean, especially I did a lot on China's, digital currency, and it was what is it? Digital currency. It's been a while. It's been a couple years, but the big scary thing about a central bank digital currency is that if a government decides that they don't like you, right, they could ban you from that currency. And if that is the main payment method that's accepted in the country, they basically kill you. Because you can't buy food. You can't do anything, right? Like, they cut you out of the entire economic system, the financial system, right? Like, you can't get money because you can't receive it because they blacklisted you. I mean, a CBDC is a terrible thing, and we don't need it. We don't need it. I mean, there's arguments to be made about like a country that wants to, maintain monetary and fiscal policy over things and controlling their currency, and I get that, but you get a CBDC, man, and there's just too much that they can do there. So that's why Trump, I'm grateful there's a lot of people talking to his ear and basically saying listen, do not allow a CBDC. And so there's that bill that's looking at getting passed. Then there's also the Genius Act, or the Stable Act. The Genius Act passed the Senate, at the House, and I think that there's going to be some tweaks there, but some form of a stablecoin legislation is going to be passing this week. I would bet money on the poly market on that it'll get passed this week. Then the other thing is the Clarity Act. I also think that bill will get passed, related to what agency oversees what things regarding crypto. What are commodities? What are securities? And I'm hoping that they actually start to define what a security is in crypto land. That would be huge. I don't know if we get that, but man, if they can get that together, that would be so helpful, because then the Clarity Act is going to say, okay, SEC, you deal with all of the cryptos that are securities, and here's the definition of security for these cryptos. So that's what you oversee. Everything else is a commodity, and the CFTC will look at that, man, yeah, it's gonna be big. And Chuck and Hank, these representatives, Randy and I were talking about this beforehand, but the bill that was kind of put forward had some other junk in it that people were like, no, I'm not voting for this crap. You got to get this out, of here, and then we'll revote. So hopefully they've gotten that out, and we'll see what passes.
Yeah. Omar talking it'll pass. Yeah, I love the confidence. Let's get that, Brett. So after that, let's go back to our notes here. We've got on the other, okay, game, pump back down, delays, big news.
I know what we want to talk about, because we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con still. Yeah. Comics.
Oh, yeah.
The comics.
You know more about this than I do.
Okay, so David Yu was on the Oasis yesterday. Shout out to VeVe Magic, Emoji, Max Omi Homie, and Janie Omi Homie. They were kind of hosting that, and it was a lot of fun. And David Yu came up and he was talking. He asked a lot of really good questions, man. I loved it. And David, you talked about, so this Phygital collaboration that they're doing, they have another like physical comic book and digital version as well, right? So he said that they have 3 issue number 1 comics that they're releasing at San Diego Comic-Con. And all 3 of them are very, very limited runs. He said a few hundred of these. And that, from my understanding, from what I heard, it sounds like at least 2 of them are going to be foil covers. And one of them is a Marvel foil cover. And then another one is like their Bad Idea IP that they have, a foil cover of that comic. And it sounds like that comic, whatever it is, I don't know, that's going to be a limited run. And in that one, it's going to be random, but like they're going to insert 50 redemption codes for the digital version. So not every single comic book of the, I believe the Bad Idea one will have a digital redemption code. He said there's only going to be 50 digital redemption codes in there. So that would be an extremely rare comic digitally on VeVe. But then even physically, it's going to be rare. And then the Marvel ones, right? My understanding is that there will be, and I could be wrong on this. So anyone who listened, I re-listened to it, and it still sounded to me like the Marvel one, at least the foil cover one, and maybe they're all foil covers. I don't know, but at least I know that at least one of the Marvel covers is going to be foil, and that there will be a redemption code for VeVe in each one of those comics somehow. But again, it's going to be a freaking limited run, and a Marvel. So I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited to have like a Marvel foil cover. I've got one foil cover that I bought like back in the 90s, and I can't even remember the character. I have it somewhere here. Didn't pan out. The character in the storyline didn't pan out, but I loved it. I loved the foil cover, and so definitely excited to have a Marvel foil cover, especially such a limited run. That's gonna be freaking awesome.
Sweet. So there's I don't know where we'll go. Big money flowing into NFTs recently. Moonbird selling for 20K. We had the one that Crypto Cosmo talked about last week, where someone paid $300,000 for some NFT land in Yuga Labs.
Yeah.
And I see that money come, like I see it trickling in, like, hey, this dam's breaking, like it's leaking and it's small, but that's the things to come. I also see, well, I guess we'll go over this first. Does it have to be there's so many narratives that can hit DeFi, DeSci, gaming, NFTs, AI, a whole bunch of stuff. We know what ran last time. Last time it was NFTs that ran last. Do you remember what ran first, what ran second, et cetera? Or do we just remember what ran last because that's what it was for NFTs? It involved us directly. And what do you think kicks it off again?
What do I know what ran first out of what?
Out of like the narratives last time, in last cycle.
Well, I mean, so DeSci ran in like 2020, not DeSci, DeFi was 2020. And then the NFT narrative hit in 2021, right? And that was early 2021. I remember what kind of
2022?
It was 2021. The
I
NFT
remember it going crazy, or did it run twice?
No, it started its run. It started its run in early 2020 with NBA Top Shots. LeBron James Moment sold for $250,000.
That's insane.
And once that was announced, that's when OMI skyrocketed. OMI skyrocketed in like February, March of 2021. Which then put VeVe on the map, right? And then so people, like, if you look at a lot of the OGs, a large majority of them came in either February or March or April. And because of that, right? Like, and so then what happened is people started paying attention to NFTs. Then you had CryptoPunks and those pumped. So after NBA Top Shots, CryptoPunks might have even run before in like December of 2020. But CryptoPunks go up. Gary Vee's talking about that. There's his influencers talking about that. NBA Top Shots hits. And then Bored Ape launches in like April of 2021. And that quickly launches, again, like my story that I freaking tell of like almost minting. I was on the minting page and I minted Happy Mon eggs instead of Bored Ape Yacht Club. But I was following it really closely, and I told Crypto Rain, I said, listen, as I am following this movement on Twitter, it's amazing. It's so electrifying. It was electrifying, man. What up, Chris? Chris is awesome. I love Chris. But anyways, so then Bored Ape, like in May, I tell Rain, I'm like, listen, this is one of the rarest Bored Apes. It's selling for 1 ETH. I'm like, legitimately, you need to buy this. And he's like, no. I'm buying Larva Labs Meebits. CryptoPunks a pump. Larva Labs owns the Meebits IP. So instead of buying like one of the rarest Bored Apes at 1 ETH, he bought like 12 Meebits, and like the mint price on Meebits was 4.5 ETH.
Oh,
that was the mint price.
Jesus.
Right. And like, I think he bought like 20 of them. And this is when ETH was like $4,000. Right. And I was like, what? I was tripping out. Anyways, funny enough, now Rain still made money on Meebits, but like that 1 ETH, that Bored Ape sold for 1 ETH in like May, sold for 50 ETH in July, and then sold for 500 ETH in October.
And what was the price of ETH when it was 1, and what was the price of ETH when it was 500? Because I guarantee you that was majorly different in the best way.
It wasn't majorly different.
Really?
Look, I'll look at ETH in October of 2021. ETH was still pumping. I mean, I don't think it was still $4,000, but let me. I'll tell you just a sec. All right. So all right. Yeah, bro. October, depending on the day in October, which it sold, ETH was anywhere from like 3,400 to oh man, in November 8th, ETH got up to 4,800.
And now, when was it? When it was 1 ETH?
When it was 1 ETH, it was like end of May. ETH was around $3,000. So
this is what I really like to tell people, is that it would make sense if something's 1 ETH and suddenly ETH doubles, then the price of it should be half an ETH to keep that price. But that's not what happens. ETH goes up, and then the amount of ETH that it's worth also, it's a freaking double whammy in the craziest way. And so, I'm sorry, keep going.
Yeah, basically, like the equivalent, it was like, Rain, if you would have spent $4,000 on this and held it for 6 months, your $4,000 would have been worth about like $2.4 million in 6 months, right? Like, it was an insane jump, right? And that's when Rain was like, all right, we need to have you on the channel, and you need to start talking about VeVe, and like, you know, you're following this a lot closer. So that's when I really started to show up on Rain's channel. And the stupid thing is, I didn't even listen to myself. I was like, dude, I made some really great calls. I made some not great calls, let's be honest, right? But like, I was like, guys, you need to sell all your collectibles before cash out comes. I was like, you need to do it because it's a locked ecosystem. All this cash is locked up. And so people are just they're selling stuff, and then they're just making those gains, and then they're rolling it into another thing. And so things just keep pumping up. And I'm like, once cash comes out or cash out comes, it's going to be, and I just didn't do it. But anyways, so DeFi hit, then NFTs, and then AI really started to hit last year. No, 2023 is when ChatGPT really started to take off. Is in 2023. And so the AI narrative hit there. But like Web3 gaming hit a couple of years ago as well, right? For a while. Like Myria nodes. My Myria pumped like awesome in the summer. So, but like the thing is, Randy, like we don't know what's going to hit. Like it's like we don't know what narrative it's going to hit, but I would wager to guess that I do think that NFTs and digital collectibles are going to they're going to be in a narrative again, man. And if they are, I see them doing well. And if they continue to get additional IP, now one of the things like David also kind of talked about, he's like, we need to make things fun, right? You look at like what's happening on Roblox and these mini games and stuff like that, and that's what I was hoping the VeVe-verse was going to be like. And it sounds like they might be kind of pivoting to something like that, right? Like one of the biggest things that I have said for a long time now is one of the easiest use cases for NFTs are skins. Like if you could have Fortnite and you're like, I've got the secret rare Spider-Man and now I get this special secret rare Spider-Man skin on freaking Fortnite, people are going to want that skin. It's a social flex. It's a social flex. And that's all that Bored Ape Yacht Club was. It was like, hey, this gets me into the party and look how cool I am because these are so expensive. The social flex and part of the utility of some of these rare NFTs is the fact that like, hey, I get to use this skin because of it, man. So like, it's a digital IP. Make use of all of the different digital like ways that you can use that. And gaming is such an easy one to do. So I really hope that freaking VeVe does something along those lines because I think that would be a massive, massive hit.
Did you see what Dexerto posted today about Fortnite? And so he says, well, I'll have you read it.
Fantastic Foreskin on Fortnite. It is one of the most wanted collabs ever.
No, like if you read it like fast, it's not fantastic. What are the next two words really fast?
Fantastic Four?
No, I'll just say it. There's been a lot of memes talking about it. It was like, fantastic, what? Talking about like foreskins, like the way it was said. Like,
oh, fantastic foreskin.
So it was memed the crap.
That's the third word I was missing there.
They just memed the crap out of it, and there's like nobody told them. They told them afterwards, but they kept it up.
Dude, that is funny, man. That is. Oh, obviously that guy he like looks at it now and he's like, F my life.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, so VeVe I feel like has some interesting things that they could do with their own IP. They put a couple dioramas out, and then they had a Ron English diorama. Like, I think the one diorama that did really well was Peter Pan, and everything else, it's like, dude, it made like $2,000 yesterday. Like, that's not even worth it. Like to pay someone to do that. At what point, unless there's a different thing there, like, no, I promise this will all look really great in the VeVe-verse, which it might. But at some point, when do you kind of give up on an idea? Like how much is too much just to save face?
Yeah, listen, like if you got to be, and VeVe is still a relatively small company, you got to pivot. And if the dioramas aren't really working, yeah, pivot from it, and be like, okay. Now, the Punisher diorama is pretty sick. I actually probably need to get that. So, like, some of the dioramas are really sick. I wish that they could do like a Weapon X diorama or something like that, right? Where like he's still like where you could put your Wolverine or something like that, like in that tube that like he's in with the adamantium, or like it's all broken out or something like that, so you can have like your Weapon X and you just like something like that. Dude, I would absolutely buy that diorama, right? So like maybe they should be more picky or choosy about the dioramas that they are using, and pick really iconic scenes from the characters that they already have, where people would be like, yeah, I'd want to place my character in this diorama because it's just freaking sick looking. And this, again, is the nostalgia thing there. So, but yeah, I think that, listen, they got a lot of other stuff that they could be dropping to pivot off of dioramas,
Yeah. VeVe does seem like they're trying to get a little bit more of the fans' opinions. They put out a poll the other day, said pick blind box or pick your own one, which do you like? And I thought blind boxes would get like 20% of the vote. They wound up getting like 45% of the vote. And so people still definitely do prefer the pick your own. And those seem to do much better than the blind boxes, but that was much closer than I thought. If it was like 80-20, I'd be like, okay, maybe get rid of blind boxes, but it's very close. What are your thoughts on those?
The thing with blind boxes that people love is like the gambling psychology effect, right? Of it's just like I could get something for almost nothing. Like it's potentially get something of great value for nothing. Now the ironic thing is sometimes, you know, their idea of great value isn't really that great of a value. Like in fact, it was like, you know, they're like, oh, like maybe I pay $10 for this comic and then I'm able to sell it for $60. And it's like, is that really worth like the risk there? Like a 1 in 42 chance to 6x your money? Like I'm like, I don't know about that, right? Like so yeah, I don't know, but like I think it's that psychology of just people want to take that risk. And there's no risk. I mean, there's some risk even if you're buying the SR. Like you might get a low mint number, or you might get a crappy mint number, right? But like if people are trying to collect sets and stuff, I think most people would generally prefer that, you know, pay the rarity, because then they're like it's a freaking fixed cost. Where like if you don't hit it right, you know, you could be paying up the yin yang for something because you didn't get that blind box secret rare. And so I think the collectors in general that really want sets, they're probably a lot of the people who are like, I don't want the blind box because I'm not hitting it in the blind box anyways, and then I'm having to go to the secondary market, and then I'm freaking paying crazy amounts, you know. I don't know where Penguin. I don't know where Rain is. I have no idea where. Like I know he said, but like he said he might not be able to make it, but I don't think he said why.
He got the bat signal. He had to go. The city needs him. Oh, I know for the blind boxes today, I did very well. People are selling Strange Tales number. Which number is this? Strange Tales 126, first appearance of Dormammu, for $2.50 for a common, and $4. There's 3 of them at $4. I'm gonna save that on the rare, but $2.50 for a common. You know, heck, I'm gonna get a rare for $4. And there's only 3,000 of these comics. They made like 7K today. It's possible that this sells out in 30 days. I don't know. I'll tell you what will definitely sell out is going to be that Lion King comic on Friday, and I will have a Comics and Crypto has a $750 bounty on the Mint 1994. I have upped that to a $1,000 bounty on the Mint 1994 because I love the Lion King and I want it. Anyway.
I didn't even see that one. That's wild.
They just announced it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. I was able to get the cat to be bought in over 70 different ways. No need to know anything about crypto. You can buy the cat with Google Pay, Apple Pay, credit card, MoonPay, PayPal, etc. And it's not costing that much, but it's just ease of access to the token. And I'm able to do it for the cat. Should VeVe explore these options, or it's like, bro, we're going to be on Coinbase soon. There's no need.
70 different ways. I want you to expound on that a little bit.
Sure. So there is a company called OnChain. Okay. And the reason why I did this with them is because they have some technology where, and I think you can do this on Coinbase, but you can't do it on Coinbase Wallet, can't do it on Phantom Wallet, where if you buy something like the cat's on ETH, and let's say if you want Solana or like something on Solana, how do you do that? All right, most times you have to sell it for ETH, then sell that for like USDC, get the other thing. This way you can just take something on ETH and swap it for something on Solana, and then it does all the calculations in the background. So it's super easy. They are their private conversation with the CEO. They are. I'm just not going to say anything, but they have a lot of tokens on there already. I've used it with the cat, and there's 70 different ways because they're in every single different country, except for the ones that are on like I think like Russia, North Korea might be on like the list of countries that they can't do business with.
Yeah.
They're called On-Chain Labs. They haven't partnered with the channel or anything. I'm not getting money out of this, but it's most forms of payment. Most of them I have no idea what they are, but anyone can use them at any one part of the world. But the main ones in America, any credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, MoonPay, PayPal, and I assume some others that are really prevalent in the US, but and it costs $200 a month. So I think VeVe should really think about doing that, because I think to get just on MoonPay, I think it's like tens of thousands of dollars. Like I've tried to figure out a way to try to do this for the cat, and this is the only. And you don't need to know anything about wallets. You don't need to know that the cat's on ETH. You don't need to know that you swap for what you want to swap for. Feel like this is something that, again, they after you purchase it, then they give you your 12-word seed phrase. You do have to KYC as well, because you're buying crypto, so the credit cards and stuff are going to want to know. Is there something VeVe should look into, or be like, well, let's see how they do first. Let's see how on-chain does first. Let's see where they, if they're still around in a year, because you don't want to do that for people who have this wallet, even though it is a Web3 wallet. So the company could go down, and they're your private keys. They give those to you. Is that something that should be explored, or is that a wait?
I mean, I would have to. I'm gonna look into this more. This is interesting. It really is interesting.
I'll send you a link.
I'm trying to understand. Yeah. Well, I've got the website onchainlabs.org up here.
Oh, disregard.
So I'll look into that some more. But it's interesting to me. Like I need to understand the technology, like what's happening behind the scenes, like how they're able to do that. And like I wonder if they're limiting transactions, because for $200 a month, you could do enough transactions where you're swapping things out, like that they could be losing money to do that. So I would think that they'd have to cap the transactions to be able to.
So I mean, they charge you. I mean, they charge you to like to swap something from ETH to Solana, like if you want to trade for one, like the fees of that are passed on to the healthy consumer.
Okay, so but it's $200 a month. What's the $200 a month for then?
That's what I have to pay to get the cat on there.
Oh.
And then the cat's just listed on there.
Oh.
So anyone could buy it with any of those places. So again, this would be very inexpensive for VeVe to do with OMI. And honestly, if they don't do it by the end of the year, I'll just do it for them. I'll just be like, hey guys, big announcement. OMI's now on-chain. And because they have
$200, man, like that's not a lot of money.
I know. They have this weird dashboard where you could pay like $500 a month, and if you do, you get these like crazy analytics on where the people are from. Like you don't get names, obviously, but you get to see like, hey, they're from this region. They bought it this time. And I guess for $200 a month, you just don't get that. But yeah, it's very, very cheap.
Huh. Fascinating, man. That is interesting. I think like if they could do that in tandem with like some other announcement, right, where they're just like, if kind of piggyback off some other bullish news, like announcing another partner, and they're like, oh, by the way, you can buy this here, with whatever token you want. But the thing is, I think the Coinbase is the big deal though, because like if people can just be like, hey, I can just go on to now, we're gonna have to wait and see how Coinbase how they lay that out. How easy is the user interface to purchase something on a DEX as opposed to on their actual exchange? Because if it's really easy, that's going to be great for OMI. That's going to be great. And not just OMI, but any token, really, because if it hits a narrative, Like people can just search that. Like, what are the metaverse tokens? Metaverse is a big thing again. Like I'm on. Oh, look at this market cap. Look at this market cap. You know, like I'm in. I'm freaking buying in, and they can just buy it right on Coinbase. You know, like that's a pretty big deal. But for the Web3 people, it is nice. Like, you know, I freaking hate, bro. I hate bridging tokens.
Yeah.
I hate it with a freaking passion. I hate it so much. So to be able to use something like that and be like, okay, like I can just swap on here. That's pretty dang cool. That's pretty dang cool. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a movie critic called Nostalgia Critic, and I love him. I loved him forever. And like years ago, he did a review on the newer Power Rangers movie from like the late 2010s, where Bryan Cranston is Zordon. And he says, I love this movie. Apparently most people don't, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Anyway, he says, we got to start making better use of our Bryan Cranston, guys, because like he just didn't like him in this role. And in that same breath, I'll say we have to make better use of our Daniel Crothers, because he was on a podcast that had like an Apple podcast like a month ago. I forget what they were called. I think they had a couple hundred subscribers. I don't think it got a lot of views. And recently, he was on a podcast called Multiverse Tonight. And the people that host these shows, they're pretty awesome. Like they're nerds. Like we, talk forever about it. I'd love to have a drink with them. But the guy had 22 subscribers. And it's not like, okay, well, how many does he have on Instagram? It's like 19. Okay, well, what about Facebook? Okay, like they're like maybe like 200 followers across all socials. And I feel like if the time, how much is Dan Crothers' time worth? Like a ton, I'd say. And for him to go on some of these smaller channels, I'm just not getting the calculus of doing that. Unless if like, hey, I'll go on his show and I'm doing that because he's connected with this person that has like 700 million followers. Like what can you make a little more sense to me? Because I am just not getting the thought process.
No, I'm with you. Now listen, as someone who has a small channel myself, like I love that they're spending time with the little guy, but like 22 subs is not great. Not great. And like especially and because listen, I follow a lot of VeVe stuff. I didn't know he was on that channel. You know what I mean? Like I would have liked to watch that. And so like you got to say like how much is my time worth? And then like what's the visibility of the time I'm giving, right? Like yeah, that's interesting. I think we should get him on the show, man. We should get him on the show. Let's get Dan on. OMI is my homie. Like if he'll come and we can talk about the VeVe-verse stuff. Like I'd love to hear that. And in fact, I would like to hear more about this. Like what are some of the plans, if they can describe anything of like how to make this fun, how to get these users in here. Because like I would love little mini games in the VeVe-verse. I like that's what I was hoping it would be. And I think that it can still do that. So how can they make that happen? You know, what do they need to do? I think it'd be good, but like, I'm with you. Like it's not a great use of time, but sometimes it's community building too. And it's just like, we don't care about the reach. We want to know that like even the smallest members of the community matter to us. And that's a message that's sent to the community. And so, but like if he's doing it lots, not great. You know, like if you're going on to mostly small channels, it actually kind of lowers. I'll give you an example of where I'm trying to go with this is way back in the day, I was a manager of this pretty eclectic furniture store. I was an operations manager, right? And so I dealt with like logistics and shipping, and I'm in a lot of things. I managed salespeople and warehouse people. But like sometimes I would talk to the owner about pricing. And they had this dining table set, and it looked amazing. It was probably the nicest dining set that we had, but we got it for way cheap. I think we got it for like $150 was like our cost basis on it, right? And so he had marked it up to like to $699. and it wasn't selling. It wasn't selling. And the owner was like, I don't understand this. This is like the coolest table that we have. Like, this looks phenomenal. And I was like, you're pricing it too cheap. He's like, what are you talking about? We got like a 5x markup on this thing. And I was like, mark my words. Bump it up to $19.99. Say that it's on sale from $39.99, right? This is a half price sale. And bro, that thing flew off the shelf at $2,000. They weren't willing to pay $700 because they looked at it and they're like, this is camping buddies. Woo! You guys missed anyone who didn't hear the chat yesterday. Kind of went off on VeVe magic with camping. But back to the story, like people's perception of stuff. If there is a founder that is consistently going on YouTube channels that have 20 subscribers, they're going to be like, this person does not value their time. There must be something wrong with the project. That this is the only place that he can get FaceTime. You know what I mean? Like, there is something to be said about that, right? And so I do think that there needs to be that perception of going on. If you're doing like onesie twosies here and there, where it's like, yeah, like I'm going to go on these big channels, and then every once in a while I'm going to go on a small channel, even if it is 22 subscribers. That's amazing, right? Because the people can look and be like, oh no, he's definitely getting access to the big channels, but then look how awesome he is, and they care about the community, that they'll also go on the small channels. If you're going on small channels consistently, not a good look at all.
Good call. Good call. And I get, okay, we're good here. We're good here. We still got a little bit of time. All right. One of the last things I want to go over was the Genesis key. Have you seen that from the London police?
Bro, I got a Genesis key.
Oh, what number did you get?
I don't want to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Well, I will dox my wallet if I do that.
Okay. So you have there's 777 of those. They are worth about 400 each. And not all of them are going to get minted on VeVe, because there's hundreds of thousands of people that love London police, and maybe not all of them know about VeVe. Is this a new grail? Is this something that goes to 10, 20, 30K in a blow off top bowl?
I mean, here's the thing. I love London police art. I am still new to the art scene, so I don't know how big the London police are. So I don't got an answer. Maybe you know, like, what are your thoughts?
My thought is that there is one up for sale right now for 800, and then it goes to $2,300. So I kind of want that. But at that point, I would just get the key, because I think there's still some left.
There are, and so that's where I'm like, you know, I do see some users on Twitter or X being like, look at this floor, and I'm like, I don't care about the floor. What's the last sale price? And that's why we need Stacker, man. We need that transparency to sale prices, like what people are actually willing to pay for stuff, as opposed to like what the floor is. Yeah. I'm looking at NFT Hero.
Yeah, hold on. Where's because this was Mario Nawful, or Mario Nawful's Roundtable.
Interesting.
Give me one sec. I'll find it.
Yeah, let's fact check this either way, so we could find out.
I type
I'll
in
say this NFT Hero, for you to say Randy Mistaken again, like, dude, I have definitely gotten punked where I read something and I was like, oh snap, right? And I get all stoked, and I'm off. So
let's see if it's a oh my god, Ashley, sorry, had a message here. Okay, let's go to the post in which he says it, unless he took it down, because again, I have the screenshot and I could show the screenshot because I took it directly from his. He might have still taken it down. So let me just double check this real quick. I'll show the screenshot. Oh yeah, so it's Happy Crypto Week. Okay, nope, that's Crypto Week. It should have been after that. and because I think I sent it to the group chat.
My group chat.
Yeah, our little.
Yeah. Oh,
and I think it's so he took it down, but this was again from Mario Nawfal's roundtable. As President Trump announces strategic NFT reserve, which NFTs do you think it'll include? So this is not something that I just kind of made up or I saw it from this sketchy place. This is something that Mario Nawfal's roundtable has 150,000 followers over on X, and it is not so it wasn't just from this random person that had like 2,000 followers. So I guess he accidentally reposted a fake joke post.
Yeah, he must have, because he did delete the tweet. I just found it.
I took a look. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, no, but look, this is great. I appreciate that people pointing things out there. Truck and Hank with the s'mores. Randy, have you ever had s'mores?
I made the God, what's the name of that? I made the Sandlot joke yesterday but it like.
Oh yes, right. I jumped on it. I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, nobody else knew. Like they didn't see the movie. Like one of the greatest movies of all time.
Is one of the greatest movies. Is one of the great. Hold on, I want you to say the quote, and I want to see if anyone watching can guess.
Oh, I already said it, but okay. I mean, I already said the name of but okay.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear it.
Okay, well, but maybe it'll work then. Some more what? How can I have more of something? Some more of something if I haven't had anything yet?
It was so good, and it was like silent, right? It was like crickets.
Yeah.
I don't know. It had some signature on it, like baby candy bar, Baby Ruth. Oh, what a great movie, man! You know that was filmed in Utah.
I did not.
Yeah. Like you can actually go to the baseball diamond, where they filmed all that, man.
Oh, that's so cool.
What a freaking great movie. In fact, I need to watch that again. It has been too long. I need to get my kids into that freaking movie.
Yeah, that is so good. But anyway, yes, I've had many s'mores. Good times.
Yeah. S'mores. Go ahead.
Oh, my favorite Pop-Tart is the s'mores Pop-Tart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had a s'mores Pop-Tart.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I've been trying to eat healthier, and so I'm trying not to eat like processed crap. And Pop-Tarts are so processed, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but they're so good. Like I look at have you seen the videos of they take blow torches to stuff?
Yeah, bro. I don't know why I watch those all the way through. I don't.
I do too, man. I'm just like, but I watched him blowtorch a freaking Oreo and it not do anything to the Oreo, and I was like, that's probably not good.
You know that if you were vegetarian, you could still eat Oreos because there's nothing natural in them.
Thank goodness I'm not vegetarian, man. Steak is so good.
Oh yeah. I've dated a couple vegetarians, and there's this one girl that I might. Oh God, I don't know if she's still vegetarian. And it clearly hasn't worked out yet. But I think now that I'm an older adult and I was like, you know what, fine. I'm not going to be any I don't know. I've eaten fake meat far more than I would like to have. And it's be vegetarian, just eat vegetables. Fake meat is god awful for you. It's ultra processed, and it's just depending on the fake meat, but most of it is awful. Anyway, I guess one last thing before we get out of here. I don't know why I keep Xing out of the chat. I go in and I take a look at. All right, federal housing ordered preparations for businesses to count crypto as an asset for a mortgage. Will this be the catalyst that gets retail into crypto?
No, but is it I know. I'll say this, so I really looked into that, and basically he was telling them to prepare for it. So it's not, there's nothing formally set in stone yet. And what that means is it's when they're looking at assets and you're looking to be underwritten, one of the things that they do look at is your overall net worth, right? Or do you have substantial assets that could be used to help repay the debt? They're looking at that. historically you could have had $2 million in Bitcoin, and you're trying to buy like a $500,000 house, and they won't count it. They wouldn't count it. They look at that and they're like, nope, like we're not even going to look at that, which is insane.
Yep.
And so that's what they're trying to kind of say, like, okay, you got a Bitcoin ETF now. Like this is like legitimate. We definitely need to be counting certain crypto. And he says crypto. He doesn't say like which cryptos. But I'm sorry, but like Pepe, I love the meme coin, sure, but like I don't think that they're going to be counting Pepe in your assets. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but like I think it'll probably be Bitcoin, Ether, like the real big blue chips. You know, like there might be 3 to 5 tokens that they'll say, "Hey, we'll include in this" or something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll be like, as long as you can show that there's high liquidity, but that just becomes too nuanced for underwriters who don't know anything about crypto. So I really feel like it's going to be a small list of tokens. But again, all these are though, Randy, like even though this isn't the catalyst, like what we want to really start seeing is like more and more of these data points of it becoming, of retail getting exposed to this and saying, this is a legitimate asset class now. It's not just tied to terrorists, you know, and bad actors and, you know, the dark web, you know, like this is a legitimate space and there's like legitimate use cases for this stuff, right? And that overall will slowly bring more and more people into retail, into crypto, but more than anything, price bumps, and that's why I'm kind of shocked that we haven't seen more people in retail jumping in at this price point, even with like several days of new all-time highs. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. I feel like I've been monopolizing the questions here. Do you have anything to ask or anything else you want to go over? Because I believe that is it for our pre-prepared topics.
Yeah, give me just a sec. Let me see.
Sure. H-O-T-T-O-G-O. Meow, 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 meow. Oh. What's up, VeVe Avatar? How's it going? Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, alts will not do much, probably for a few more months. At least could be another half a year. You know, we'll see.
One of the things that I'm going to dive into some more, I've got to look into, is the tokenization of real world assets, right? Like Robinhood had this thing where they were like, oh, we're tokenizing these stocks, and everyone was tripping out. But like, the more I've looked into it, and I still haven't done a super deep dive, but it doesn't actually sound like they're actual tokenized stocks. Like, so I've got to look into what Robinhood is doing and whether or not it's even legal. Hester Peirce came out and was like, she didn't specifically target Robinhood in her comments, but like anyone who's reading that is like, she's probably talking about Robinhood and these tokenized stocks.
And OpenAI said like, hey, what Robinhood is doing, like, that is not us. We do not endorse that. This is not anything that we have signed off on. Right. And how many other people are like that?
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. But tokenized assets, real world assets are coming. And I'm excited for it, man. It's so interesting to talk to some of my colleagues who are highly, highly intelligent people, and they're just like, crypto, man. And I'm like, you're just lazy and you don't like change. You're incredibly intelligent, but you just don't want to look into it. I was the same way, and that's why I can sit there and tell you I know exactly what it is. But I'm like, there's more and more discussions where I'm like, listen, as soon as this Stablecoin Act passes, like I'm going to be doing some presentations on that. Like it's highly, highly relevant to what I do. And traditional finance, like in general, like it's going to be a game changer. Stable coins are going to be a freaking game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Think about like being able to, it's one of my biggest pet peeves in banking is when I go to pay, let's see my credit card off, right? So American Express is awesome. When I hit like submit, like I'm paying off my card, it brings my balance to zero even though the money hasn't transferred, it still just acts as if that has happened. However, I got to freaking wait 3 days for my bank account to like actually show like and reconcile that, right? Like, and be like, okay, like we actually sent the money. And I'm just like, I hate that. I want to just be able to know how much I actually have. And they could do it. They could be like, okay, here's your pending transactions. If these go through, this would be the balance via split screen. They could do that. Stable coins, man, this is like a matter of 30 seconds. And then it's just like settled. You know what your balance is. They've received the payment. It's out of your bank account. Your bank account shows that. Man, some of that stuff is going to be so freaking useful. And especially instead of paying $20, $25 for a freaking wire transfer, right? You can just send stablecoins. It's going to be so much cheaper and still verified. I don't know, man. It's going to be, it's really going to change overall the payment systems. And one of the things that'll be interesting to see, I'm waiting to see how this passes. But so back in 2023, there was like these large bank failures. If people remember, there was Silicon Valley Bank, there was Signature Bank. I think there's First Republic. Silvergate Bank almost failed, and then they unwound. But there would have been more failures. However, banks closed down at 5 p.m. on Friday. And so what happens is that you can get these banks and they get these withdrawal requests over the weekend that they don't have to fill until Monday morning, right? And that's a big deal when you're looking at like your liquidity position and you're saying, you know, because banks have to they have to meet their cash letter. And so if you have cash on hand, if you do not have enough cash to pay out all the withdrawals that are requested by your customers, your bank fails. It's a liquidity failure. And so if you guys have ever watched like It's a Wonderful Life, like that's what kind of happens, right? Is when people are all panicking, they're all trying to draw their money out, and he's like, "But it's not in it's not in the bank. It's in George's house because he's got a loan for his roof, or like salary for the Christmas present, like whatever, right? Like, but with crypto, it's 24/7. So I'm very interested to see if there's going to be some caveats in this language that it's just like maybe there's like limited crypto hours for stable coins, or it's just like there's a limit to the amount of money you can withdraw so that if there's like a run on a bank, it doesn't lead to failure. Because
isn't that the point of reserves though?
What's that?
Isn't that the point of reserves though?
What do you mean the point of reserves?
To show people like, hey, we have this much in reserves in case there's a run.
So that is for the actual cryptocurrency when they are looking to swap it out. So I guess okay. If here's I guess what I'm getting into, and I'm thinking of deposits in general. And so it's going to depend on how banks use this. But if, for example, they're saying when you deposit money in to your bank account, right, like you can convert that to a stable coin, right? It depends on what the bank does with that, because you put money in, let's say that you put $1,000 in, but it's fractionalized lending, or fractionalized deposits, where basically they have to hold a certain amount of capital against your deposits. But like a bank might have $100 million in deposits, but like they really only have about maybe 20 million in cash, right? And they've lent out the other 80 million. And that's like fractionalized deposits, right? So with stablecoins, it depends on how it's structured. If basically they're just saying, yes, when you buy the stablecoin, we're converting that dollar, or we're buying these treasury or whatever, and there's that collateral. So when you request that withdrawal, we're literally just cashing that out. Then that's fine if they never do anything with that. But that's typically not how banks operate, right? And so it would depend on if they're saying, well, we're going to use these these deposits that you convert into stable coins, and we're going to take a portion of that and we're going to go lend on it. That would be concerning. And so maybe there'll be something in the bill that doesn't allow them to do that. That if banks are going to operate in stable coins, that they cannot lend on that, right? And so what they could potentially do, though, is they could say whether they are claiming the yield. Man, there's so many different ways they could structure it. It'll be interesting to see how this bill goes, and that's why I could go off into so many different tangents. Sorry, and I better put it back and just say we got to wait for the regulation to come through and see what is actually acceptable, right? What kind of stable coins? Yield bearing? Who gets the yield? If it's USDC or USDT, right? Does the bank get the yield? Does the customer get the yield if they're holding the stable coins? Yeah, there's a lot, but it's definitely going to be a game changer for sure.
I wonder how easy it would be. I mean, it probably should be pretty easy to be able to tell because it's all in blockchain. I'm going to short this bank, or I'm going to short this. I mean, if remember what happened with was it Do Kwon? Was it Terra Luna, where like they just got him. They got him to buy a large amount of whatever. They sold the crap out of this thing, got depegged, and people made like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. It was nuts. Anywho, that'll be it for today. Everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. And everyone, thank you all for joining for another episode. OMI is my homie. We'll try to get Rain here next week. No promises. He's a busy guy. He had a photo shoot. He's doing pretty awesome stuff. Anyway, guys, I love you. Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Yeah. All right. And